Hey guys, it's the last day of 2016. For some, we'll be glad to see the back of this year. For the rest of us, there are festivities to be had this evening, there are fireworks, there is drinking and partying and dancing and seeing in the new year in style. But before we do, let me give you my 5 fives for 2016. Okay, let's kick off with 5 of my highlights from 2016. And number 5 was meeting up with some old friends in Orlando. When I was in Orlando earlier this year for Enterprise Connect, I got to meet up with a couple of very old and dear friends of mine. It was great to see them both. And hopefully we won't leave it so long before we can get together again soon. And number 4. I actually got to visit the Apple headquarters earlier in the year for a series of meetings with some of the engineers there. Been a big Apple fan for many years, and it was lovely to actually be able to go and visit the old headquarters before they move into the new spaceship headquarters later this year. At number 3, starting the vlog. As I said in previous vlogs, it was one of those things I never planned to do. I never realised what an impact it would have on my life, but I also didn't realise how much fun I would have actually producing these. At number 2, my mother's 70th birthday. So earlier this summer, the whole family got together down in Dorset. We had a beautiful day, the weather held out, it was fantastic, and we all got together to celebrate my mother's 70th birthday. It's pretty rare that the whole family gets the chance to get together, purely because we all lead pretty active lives and our jobs take us all over the world. So to get everybody together for that special day was a great thing. And my number 1 highlight of the year was finding out that I'm going to be a grandfather. My daughter is going to give birth to our first grandchild in late January. Yeah, it's just one of those life-changing moments. I am so proud of her. I am so looking forward to being a grandfather. Obviously, once the baby's been born, I will bring you the news and some photos, and who knows, maybe the young guy will get to star in the vlog. Okay, next, 5 incredible places that I got to visit in 2016. At number 5, Yosemite National Park. In June, we visited a trade show in Las Vegas, and due to my own scheduling screw-up, I actually booked my flight home to the UK from San Francisco. Now, the simplest thing to do would have been to fly from Las Vegas to San Francisco and take the flight home. But given I had a couple of days, I decided that I would drive it. Mark Loney, our CEO and good friend of mine, was insane enough to come with me and share the driving. And over 2 days, we drove across Death Valley, up into the Sierra Nevada mountains. We spent the night up in the mountains before pushing on into Yosemite and then down into San Francisco to catch the flight home. So number 4 will be Pompeii. So as I said earlier on, this year was my mother's 70th birthday, and one of the places she always wanted to go was to see Pompeii. So in the summer, the whole family, we took an Airbnb not far from Pompeii itself, and spent the day in the city seeing the ruins and the sights, and it really is quite a breathtaking place to visit. Highly recommend it if anyone is in the area. Number 3, Niagara Falls. Niagara Falls is one of those places that should be on everybody's bucket list. I went to visit the falls on the US side of the falls, and it was spectacular. There is absolutely no two ways about it, but from what I could see, the view is probably even better from the Canadian side of the falls. So if you're visiting that part of Canada, I'd highly recommend come down to see the falls from there. On the US side, you can sort of wander around the falls, but the place really to go is you can actually go down underneath the falls where you'll get very, very wet. Be careful with your cameras, but a great place to visit. And number 2 is a place called Gobbler's Knob. Now, Gobbler's Knob is known as the weather forecasting capital of the world for one reason. They have a groundhog called Puxatawney Phil. And every year, Puxatawney Phil comes out at Gobbler's Knob and forecasts whether winter will be over or whether or not winter's going to continue for another 6 weeks. If you've never seen the film Groundhog Day with Bill Murray, I'd highly recommend going and watching it. It's a very amusing film, and any film with Bill Murray in it's going to be good. But yes, the Groundhog and Puxatawney and Gobbler's Knob are all the sort of set for that film. And finally, the number one place on my list of places that I visited this year was Beijing. Earlier in the year, I had to go to Beijing on business, and one evening we actually had some time, which is pretty rare on some of these business trips, and we sort of walked around Tiananmen Square, up to the Forbidden City, and unfortunately we couldn't go in. The whole place was locked down because there was a diplomatic visit from the President of Australia, sorry, Prime Minister of Australia. So we only got to sort of walk around the outside, but still, just to be in Beijing, be in Tiananmen Square, was a fantastic moment. 5 quick things that have annoyed me this year. 1, the New Year's honours list. There are some people on the New Year's honours list this year who really deserve it. Mo Farah is a great example. Mo Farah is a great role model for the young people in this country. But there are also people like Victoria Beckham. Victoria Beckham was given an award for services to fashion. If that's not just an utter waste of time, do we really need to be giving Victoria Beckham an award? No, Victoria Beckham hasn't done anything for this country. Victoria Beckham has done everything for Victoria Beckham. Number 4, 2016, the year when everyone's dying. Lots of very prominent figures. I mean, just in the last few weeks, we've had Debbie Reynolds, Carrie Fisher, George Michael. Earlier in the year, we had David Bowie, we had Prince. And it's just one of those years where lots of people's legends have passed away. That doesn't make it any different from any other year. There haven't been particularly more this year than last year. It just seems to be the year where a lot of very high profile people have passed away. Number 3 is a little self-serving. These are people we call ice holes, internal combustion engine idiots, who park their car in electric car charging points. They believe that they can just park their car wherever they want and damn everybody else. They don't realise that they're actually stopping people who own an electric car, possibly from getting home that evening. They tie up a charge point while they go and get a coffee, not realising that somebody actually might need that charge point to charge their car to be able to get home. It would be the same as me parking my car in front of a petrol pump, then going off to get a coffee for 20 minutes and half an hour. Number 2, recovering from surgery. I have moaned about this on the vlog over the last few months. It sucks, and it has driven me mad this year. So apologies to everybody who's heard me moaning about not being able to get out and do things. I'm sorry, it has been a bad end to the year for me, but it's over with. One of the worst things for me for 2016 was having to say goodbye to our golden Labrador, Kenzie. Kenzie was a lovely, friendly dog. There wasn't a vicious bone in his body. He loved everybody. He wanted to be cuddled and patted and played with by everybody. And unfortunately, he had a degenerative condition that basically meant he couldn't walk anymore, and the right thing to do was to let him go. What's really annoyed me about this is we knew he had this condition from a very early stage, and the reason is he came from a breeder of golden Labradors who bred show dogs. They bred dogs for their looks, not for their physical fitness or their health. So they picked dogs that looked good in photographs or at shows, and consequently he came from a family of dogs that didn't have particularly good breeding and had problems with their rear end. Now, it didn't stop him living a great life. He lived for nearly 11 years, and he was a loving member of our family, and we miss him an awful lot. Okay, 5 people who have inspired me this year. Number 5, Casey Neistat. Casey Neistat is a vlogger on YouTube who, for well over a year, produced a daily vlog. Just doing these vlogs for a few days has given me an understanding of how much work he's put into doing that. Casey is a filmmaker and is continually trying to evolve his craft, but he's also, from everything I've been told, a really nice guy. You see this in his vlog where people stop him in the street and he stops and chats with them, takes photos, but generally a really nice guy and a real inspiration for anyone who wants to create stuff like this on YouTube. Number 4, John Glenn, the astronaut, who passed away this year. John Glenn was one of the original Mercury astronauts. In fact, he was the first American to orbit the Earth. John Glenn has always been an inspiration of mine ever since I was a small child, but this year, sort of just looking back after his passing at some of the things that he's done, I think John Glenn is one of those role models that I will continually look to throughout my entire life. Number 3, Mo Farah. It was great to see today in the New Year's honours that Mo Farah has been awarded a knighthood. Mo Farah is a fantastic role model for young people in this country and in all countries, and he shows that you don't need to have everything handed to you on a plate. Mo Farah was a refugee from Somalia who came to the UK aged 8, not even been able to speak the language, and not only now speaks the language fluently, but also is a great ambassador for the country. Number 2, Mark Richer. Mark is the chairman and founder of Starleaf, but Mark is also an incredible entrepreneur. Mark has built a number of companies over the years, and in every single one of them you see he's built an incredible team. He's built products that people actually want to use, and for that reason I draw a lot of inspiration from Mark. Whenever I'm sort of thinking through a problem, I turn to Mark for guidance, because he has the ability to drill right down to the nub of the problem very, very quickly. Finally, number 1, my wife Michelle. Michelle is incredible. She gets up every morning to go and tend to her horses. She comes home, she holds down a full-time job, looks after the family, and just generally, I don't know where she gets the energy from to deal with all of that. We've been married now for 28 years. It's been an incredible time, and Michelle, I love you more each day. Okay, let's finish up the 5 5s with 5 things we're going to do in 2017. Number 5, I'm going to lose some weight. Not been able to exercise for the last couple of months has driven me mad, so my plan is to try and lose 1 to 2 stone over the next year. Hopefully more than that, but I'm trying to set a realistic goal. Number 4. So for people that know me, I love aircraft. I love seeing aircraft flying, being involved with them. And one of the places I've always wanted to go and visit is a place called the Mach Loop. The Mach Loop is up in the Snowdonian Mountains, and it's where the Royal Air Force and other visiting air forces can fly their fast jets very, very low through the mountains. And you can actually sit up on the side of the mountains and watch the fast jets come through. So later on this year, we're going to go visit the Mach Loop. Number 3. Number 3 is to do something that I planned to do last year. So I love obstacle course racing. There is a particular course that I like to run on. It's called the Nuclear Race Course, and normally we would do 2 to 3 events a year. Last year, because of injury, I was only able to complete the first one. But this year I plan to complete all 3. And if you complete all 3, you get the special medal that shows that you've completed all 3 in the series. So my plan for 2017 is to complete all 3 nuclear races. Number 2 is to carry on vlogging. But to make the vlog better, more interesting, as I've said in previous vlogs, take the vlog on the road to different countries. But also to build a subscriber base of people who can give me feedback, who can sort of tell me, you know, we like this, we don't like this. So my plan is to try and build the vlog and get to around about 500 subscribers by the end of the year. And number 1 is to be a great grandfather. My grandson is due to be born at the end of January. It's going to change my life in ways that I can't imagine, and I'm so looking forward to it. So my New Year's resolution is to be the most awesome grandparent I can possibly be.